Is there, we have an extra seat? Oh, all right. At this time, the mayor will call to order the regular city council meeting at 7 p.m. Tuesday, December the 15th of 2020. As always, we begin our meetings with our mask. If you're social distancing, now we have the partitions that protect us, so you may remove your mask if you like. We have in council chambers, District 2, Grady Simpson, District 3, Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, District 4, Charles Whitaker, and District 5, Tim Royce. As I begin the meeting, as always, I want to stress to the public that we need to continue to wear a mask when you're in and about the city, if you're shopping, running errands, church. Also to social distance of 6 feet and wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds. And let's try to stay ahead of this COVID-19. And we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and that they have a safe and happy holiday as we move forward. This time, Greg, would you please lead us, because of, if we would just bow our heads.
Yes, ma'am.
Or stand. No, let's stand.
Stand. Oh, good God, we come once again, as before, giving you honor, giving you respect, giving you praise for all the wonderful things that you've done for this city and for our families. We continue to ask and pray that you would bless our country and all the municipalities throughout the U.S. so that we may get through this adversity with COVID and all the other challenges that has come from it. We ask for your guidance, we ask for your wisdom, we ask for your power to continue to bless and guide us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I would ask that, so that Don and the rest of the council can hear, please move forward your mics as we speak tonight. I think that helps everyone to hear a little bit better. In addition to that, we have some mayor and council community recognition and events. Mr. Sims?
So, Mayor and Council, you got to remember to say congratulations when congratulations are in order. I know this is already covered quite a bit. This is the 2020 International Economic Development Council Silver Award. It was presented to the Terrell Economic Development Corporation in recognition of the TDCC Health Science Center. This is the one that came to the city of Terrell. And I just felt like folks should know, there was a certain guy named Rick Carmona who was the chair of the Economic Development Corporation when all this happened. And we wanted to make sure that the mayor received his copy of this. And so you get to take it home with you. There you go.
Thank you.
I already smudged it, but it was in the paper already. I'm sorry I'm not breaking news for you. But anyway, that's one of the best partnerships. And I got to underline this again. Remember, we just had the recognition that Trinity Valley Community College received from the accreditation board that said, yes, if you follow this process, we're going to go through all of your accreditation and we're going to allow a 4-year degree program at that address in Terrell on State Highway 34 in that remodeled building. If the city hadn't have entered into an agreement with the Trinity Valley Community College to put them into that building, if the EDC hadn't stepped up and helped pay for the rehab, then we wouldn't have, starting in August of 2021, a 4-year college degree available in the city of Terrell. One of the best partnerships we've ever done. You can graduate from Terrell High, you can get a bachelor in nursing and stay in the city the whole time. That is great progress, and that's what, to me, that's what that award in front of the mayor says, and we should always remember how very, very important that particular step was. So I just want to make sure we said that out loud.
Well, good. Well, thank you, Mike. You know what? It goes back to the relationships that we all have within the city, everybody working together, trying to make Terrell a better place for everyone, right? And so it's a good thing that the school was able to participate. It was a good thing that the city was able to participate. and also the EDC, all coming together, all as partners, and with one goal, and that's making Terrell better. We have a 4-year nursing program at TVCC, so that's a great, great thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will also, if you don't mind, provide a thanks to Dawn Style.
Yes.
Dawn has been suffering through the idea that the city manager has that we should have a lot of meetings all the time. And Dawn just helped us run a Park and Downtown Improvement Corporation meeting over at the Rosenbaum Room, and then we all hustle over here. We have another meeting right here. This is a group that is running, and Dawn makes it all happen, and we ought to just say thanks to Dawn. So thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Let me get my mask back on.
So something I started last month was I wanted to recognize our police officers who have been killed in the line of duty, whether they were national officers or whether they were state of Texas officers. Again, to show our appreciation for these men and women who sacrifice their lives daily so that we can live in peace. These individuals, they leave their children, their wives, their husbands, their mothers or fathers. They go to work and to protect us and to make things safe for all of us. So there were 16 nationally officers killed in the month of November. Of those, 3 are from Texas. So I read their names. Lieutenant Lloyd Ray Ham, Richland Parish Sheriff's Office, Louisiana, end of watch Monday, November the 2nd, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Johnny R. Tunches, Harris County Sheriff's Office in Texas, end of watch Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2020. Sergeant William Darnell, DeWitt Township Police Department, Michigan, end of watch Wednesday, November the 4th, 2020. First Lieutenant Roberto Rodriguez Hernandez, Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico, end of watch, Wednesday, November the 4th, 2020. Police Officer Marshall Waters, Jr., Manningham Police Department, Louisiana, end of watch Thursday, November the 5th, 2020. Officer Domingo Hasso III, United States Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection, Office of Field Operations, U.S., end of watch Thursday, November 5th, 2020. Sergeant Sean Rios, Houston Police Department, Texas, end of watch Monday, November the 9th, 2020. Police Officer Travis C. Wallace, Helena West Helena Police Department, Arkansas, end of watch Thursday, November the 12th, 2020. Agent Juana Ramirez Padilla, Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico, end of watch Friday, November the 13th, 2020. And Lieutenant Marzell Jerome Brooks, Brookhaven Police Department, Mississippi, end of watch Sunday, November the 15th of 2020. Interdiction Agent Christopher Doyle Carney, United States Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection, Air and Marine Operations, U.S., end of watch Monday, November the 16th, 2020. Police Officer Charlie Cortez, Tulapi Tribal Police Department in Washington, end of watch Tuesday, November the 17th, 2020. Correctional Officer Richard Allen Wright, Missouri Department of Corrections in Missouri, end of watch Thursday, November the 13th, 2020. Detention Officer Dwight Willis, Greene County Sheriff's Office, Missouri, End of watch Sunday, November the 22nd, 2020. Correctional Officer Glenn F. Martinez, Guam Department of Corrections in Guam. End of watch Monday, November the 23rd, 2020. Senior Police Officer Ernest Leon Jr., Houston Police Department, Texas. End of watch Friday, November 27th of 2020. Again, these men and women sacrificed their lives so that we could be protected. I want to extend our condolences to their families, their mothers, fathers, children, uncles, aunts, whomever it may be, and know that this mayor, this council appreciates their efforts in trying to keep us safe throughout the United States. And we wish them well during the holidays. I know it'll be tough for them during the Christmas season. This time we'll do adoption of the minutes. Is there anybody else that we needs to do any recognitions? Hearing none. Discuss and consider minutes of the city council meeting on December the 1st, 2020. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for December the 1st, 2020.
We have a motion from Tim Royce, Deputy Mayor, District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson. Mayor Pro, no? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Charles Whitaker, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by state and aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item number 6 is here remarks from visitors. Do we have anyone here to speak? We don't have anyone, so we'll move forward. This time, Greg, would you read into the public record item 7.1?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight ordinance number 2856, an ordinance annexing property 2020-3A. It's an ordinance of the City of Terrell, Texas, annexing hereinafter described property to the City of Terrell, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of said city so as to include the hereinafter described property within the corporate limits of the City of Terrell, Texas, granting to all the inhabitants of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, adopting the municipal services agreement, providing for changes to the official map of the city, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Basically, Mr. Mayor, this is a situation where we've talked about previously, where we are annexing property. This is property the city already owns. It's a property that's mostly contained within Lake Elmo. There's no need for a formal services agreement since we already own the property, so there would be no need for that. Other than that, it's a standard annexation of city-owned property.
Thank you, Lou. Mike, did you want to say anything or add to?
So, Mayor, the way we've constructed your agenda for you is that item 7.1 is the public hearing opportunity for all three. The lake item that Mr. Shumper just read, the gun range property that is ordinance 2857, then the property on Zach Drive, which is 2858. So those are the three that are discussed and considered tonight. And then when you open the public hearing under 7.1, anybody who wants to give comments on any of those three annexations can speak during that public hearing.
Okay. Are we ready to open the public hearing? We are now going to open the public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak on either of the three properties described, they would please come forward. We have none. So the mayor is going to go ahead and close our public hearing and move forward with item number 7.2.
Are we going to go ahead and vote 7.1, Mr. Mayor?
Do we need?
No, 7.1 is just...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My mistake.
So we're going to move forward with 7.2.
7.2. Yes, sir. Ordinance 2857, ordinance annexing property 2020-3B.
Excuse me, it should be 2856. Ordinance number 2856. 7.2.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
my
you're fine.
mistake,
You're good.
excuse me. I apologize, I get it right. Ordinance number 2856, ordinance annexing property 2020-3A. An ordinance of the City of Terrell, Texas, annexing the hereinafter described property to the City of Terrell, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of said city so as to include the hereinafter described property within the corporate limits of the City of Terrell, Texas, granting to all the inhabitants of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, adopting the municipal services agreement, providing for changes to the official map of the city, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date.
All right. So that's the ordinance as it reads. Is there any, Mr. Sims, would you need to add anything?
Just point of clarification, 2856, again, that's the new City of Terrell Lake. The annexation here is not quite 900 acres. It's not all of the land that the city owns out in that area. But it is roughly the western two-thirds of the lake and some of the other land that we own adjacent to the lake. And this annexation allows us to fulfill a couple of steps that the city started quite some time ago. If you recall, probably about a year and a half ago, we did the annexation of, the ETJ expansion associated with the property owned by the city out at the lake. So this is just another in a long contemplated step of moving forward with the lake annexation.
Okay.
Again, exclusively city-owned property.
All right. So, does anybody have any questions or comments? Hearing none, the mayor will entertain a motion.
Mayor, make a motion that we approve ordinance 2856.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem District 2. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Charles Whitaker, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item number 7.3, Mr. Shumpert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 2857, ordinance annexing property 2020-3B. An ordinance of the City of Terrell, Texas, annexing the hereinafter described property to the City of Terrell, Texas, and extending the boundary lines of said city so as to include the hereinafter described property within the corporate limits of the City of Terrell, Texas, granting to all the inhabitants of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, adopting the municipal services agreement, providing for changes to the official map of the city, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date.
And this is the city...
The firing range, yes, sir.
So, Mayor Council, again, this project has long been contemplated. A very small part of the city-owned property in this area is already within the city limits and was annexed quite some time ago. This sort of completes that annexation step that was begun all of those years ago. People who are good at memory, like Steve Rogers, will recall that the city actually used to have a wastewater treatment facility on this property, and it does border Bachelor Creek. So that's vaguely where this is. Part of the property fronts on FM 2578.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2857.
We have a motion from Tim Rush, Deputy Mayor, District 5. Is there a second?
A second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. We're going to recess for about 5 minutes. Oh, okay, no, okay. So our next item is 7.4.
May I go ahead, Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Ordinance number 2858, ordinance annexing property 2020-3C, an ordinance of the City of Terrell, Texas, annexing the hereinafter described property to the City of Terrell, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of said city so as to include the hereinafter described property within the corporate limits of the City of Terrell, Texas, granting to all the inhabitants of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, adopting the municipal services agreement, providing for changes to the official map of the city, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. This is the Zazik Road property that I know the council is familiar with. There is already a signed and executed service plan in effect.
Okay, so for the record, Mike Sims did step away so that there would be no conflict of interest up here. This is the property that he owns. He petitioned for the council to evaluate whether or not he would be able, due to his contract, move forward with the annexation and/or move into the city of Terrell. It was our opinion and legal's opinion that this was the best solution moving forward for the city and for the city manager, and that was where we are. So, is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, the mayor entertained a motion on 7.4.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2858 as presented.
And wanted on Mr. Tim Willis, Deputy Mayor, District 5. Have a motion, is there a second?
I second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. If someone would let Mr. Simpson know he'd come back in.
Right.
Item number 8 is to discuss and consider planning and zoning commission appointments. Mr. Fenner? Oh, Sims, Mr. Sims on planning and zoning.
So Mayor and Council, on our Planning and Zoning Commission, we do have a vacancy that's available. We're going to take a look at under item 8.1.
Yeah, can I table item 8.1, please? The mayor's going to make a motion to table 8.1.
To the next meeting, Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Table it, when is our next meeting?
First meeting in January.
I'm sorry, the first meeting in January. Thursday. Do you need, do we have a quorum?
I think the question was, when is the city council?
The next regular
City
schedule.
council's
The next city council meeting is the first meeting in January.
Okay, so let's,
Yeah.
if I get a second on tabling item 8.1, please.
Mayor, I second.
We have a second from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, District 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item 8.2 is discuss and consider zoning board of adjustment appointments. Mr. Sims?
On 8.2, we've got one open position and, two open positions where we've just had vacancies occur. There are a set of applications. Vicki Anderson, Gabriel Cabrera, Stephanie Fuller, and Felicia Spencer have all expressed a willingness to serve in that role on this.
Would you like to table this as well?
Mayor, I would like to, Mayor, make a motion to table item 8.2 to the first January meeting.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, District 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Tim Royce, Deputy Mayor, District 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item number 8.3, discuss and consider appointing Downtown Improvement Corporation, the Paddock Board. Mr. Sims?
So on the Paddock Board, as you know, when we set that board up, they do have 3-year terms. However, all of the starting terms were staggered, so they could get reappointed and then have steady 1-year breaks in all of that. So there are 2 positions that do expire in December. And again, we'll be back in January. We didn't put this on as a consider item, so you don't have to table it. But we will be coming forward soon on that.
Well, it is a discuss and consider, so we're going to need to take some action on it.
It's just a discuss item, Mr. Mayor.
On mine?
On 8.3 is just to discuss it.
Oh, it's stated wrong on this one? Oh, which one am I looking?
The formal agenda
I see.
doesn't have it as
I see. Yes, you're correct.
Just want you to know that we do have 2 pending reappointments in January. That was the purpose of that item.
Okay. All right. So, is there any discussion on that? We'll just bring it back in January. Got it. Item number 9, discussion item, discuss change order number 3 for Griffith Avenue Rehabilitation. This is going to be agenda item report in our file. This is going to be Mr. Rogers. City Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I hope everybody's doing well. You have in your packet tonight, change order number 3 for Griffith. This is to basically close out the project with the contractor. And I'm pleased to report to you that change order number 3 brings a credit to the city. And I don't want you to get used to this or expect this. But this is a good news thing, and this has several tentacles to it. The guys you recognized here a few weeks ago who do all the work every day that work for me get part of the credit for this because they oversee everything and make sure that we don't spend money where we don't need to. And that's part of this. Our engineer on the project, Freese Nichols, as well as Mr. McKeska, and I'll take a tiny bit of the credit, but it's really the team I have around me that helps me get to a point where I'm pleased to bring to you an opportunity to save money and bring a project in under budget and to have a credit at the end of it. So the change order number 3 is a net $101,600.65 credit, which will revise the contract amount with Jackson Construction to $5,520,394.68. And with that, I'll answer any questions and tell you Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Steve, you know what? I've been at these meetings either as a council member or as economic development person, and it is so rare, guys, that we get this type of news. But you know what? It lets me know and lets us all know that we've got the right people in the right place doing the right thing for the city of Terrell.
Yes.
Right? Anytime that you can come back and have your partners tell you that they're under budget, that means the project worked the way it's meant to work. I wish all municipal government, all of our projects could be that way. We understand that there's cost overruns usually, but job well done, Steve, for you and your staff. And we want to thank you. You just don't see that often. You just don't.
So we should add one more thing to it, and I know Mr. Rogers probably scared me saying it, but no, he did a good job on this. And I don't say this as city attorney, but as someone who lives on that street and has been a beneficiary of it. And I'll tell you, not only Mr. Rogers and Mr. McKeska, but Mike Shook especially did a fine job, and his entire team did. And someone who absorbed it all and had to live through a lot of it. It was all well worth it, and they did in fact do a very excellent job.
Again, you know what? Many times if you do that, it's because there was shortcuts made, and the end result or the end product that was delivered for Griffith, you should be very proud. It's your district.
I'm proud. We're going to keep the rest in reserve. That's what I heard.
District 5 doesn't get to keep that. No. All right. Steve, that's good news.
Thank you.
Matt, did you want to add anything?
No, everybody said the same things I've got. I appreciate Steve's work and Mike McKeska and the whole team. It is a sight to behold. It was really nice to go out there and look at a 20-foot deep hole and look at an old sewer. And it was even better to see it closed up.
Right. Okay, so there's nothing needs.
We'll bring this back in January 5th for action.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Steve. Next item on the agenda is discuss amendment number 3 to professional service school for Griffith Avenue. Again, this is City Engineer Steve Rogers.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to take some of that savings you made and spend it. And it didn't take me long, but I need to, the reason why I ask you that is I want to reward one of our partners in this, Freese Nichols. If you see on agenda page 73, you can see how their contract started and progressed through amendment number 1, amendment number 2, to what we're proposing and requesting, which is amendment number 3 to their agreement. And that is to compensate them essentially for the additional time spent, because we did, even though we were able to bring it in under budget, it did run over 3 or 4 months beyond what we anticipated, and this created some additional expenses for them, and I asked them to tally that up. I thought they were very gracious in what they asked us in review and looking at the details of it, and they're just trying to cover. So I'm asking you as a part of amendment number 3, when we come back and January 5th to approve amendment number 3 to our agreement for professional services of Griffith with Freese and Nichols to give them $19,115 to make them whole on the project. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Yeah, no, again, even with that, we're still looking at a substantial savings.
Yes.
I think it's a good thing to keep our partners working with us, right? And we all need to have good relationships moving forward and to continue the good relationships with our Freese and Nichols. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No problem there, Steve. Thank you. Item number 9.3 is discuss fiscal year 20 year-end financial report. This is going to be Steve Rogers again. I had Steve Rogers on mine.
It's going to be Jaden.
I'm sorry about that.
Congratulations, Steve.
Hey, Steve, you now. We want to continue the good news, man. Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, Jay's going to start us off on agenda item page 103. So this is way back in the back, and this is the financial report closing out FY 20.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm presenting to you the FY20 financial report, which closes out FY20. Just one thing that I want you all to be aware of with investments. I know that the year-end amount says $85,000, but after going over that with my staff and our auditor, we actually accumulated $109,000 in investment income for FY20.
Excellent. This is Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If you go to page 105, talk about the general fund a little bit, how it did. Revenue exceeded our amended budget amount by $432,000. And that was largely due to the budget amendment, which stopped the capital improvement fund transfer from the general fund, which saved us a lot of money. And also hiring freezes that also attributed to the cost savings on the expense side. If you look at the expenses, we totaled $27 million year-to-date in total expenditures, which, if you look there, that puts us below our amended budget amount. And at the end of FY20, we netted $1.14 million in net revenue for FY20, which is excellent with COVID-19 playing a huge factor in how we were able to manage the operations and expenses. If you look at the graphs, it just pretty much gives you a breakdown of first the amended budget revenue and the pie chart graph, and sales tax revenue is a huge part of our revenue for FY20, which also shows in the pie chart below the budgeted revenue, which is 51% for September 2020. If you go to the page 107 pretty much gives you a breakdown of actual expenses for each department, and most departments were either under budget or slightly over, which is excellent. Sales tax revenue on page 108, we received $1.044 million in sales tax revenue for September, which brought us to roughly $13 million in total sales tax revenue for the year, but it's still below the original budget amount that we budgeted for FY20, but it's still good. We just were $500,000 short of hitting the original approved budget amount.
Just $500,000 short?
Yeah, it's $500,000 Sure, which was correct. Well, he was
Well,
good.
You know, and really, you know, that, we have an asterisk there because it's COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So, you know, if everything goes well and COVID-19, we get the vaccines out and get past the rough patch, we might do even better than this year. If you look at the property tax breakdown on page 109, we had a slight jump for September from August to September. We went from 27,000 to 50,000. Okay, and then for year-to-date on, for taxes, current, we got 8.278 million in property taxes, which is pretty good, which was also approximately $500,000 off from the amended budget amount. On page 110, we take a look at the utility fund. Revenues for September were approximately 1.5 million. Expenses were 1.2, which nets 262,000 for September, and the utility fund netted 1.14 million for FY20. So utility fund is doing exceptionally well. We have a breakdown with the graphs on page 111. You can take a look at that. It gives you a breakdown from meter water to wholesale water and sewer and the other categories there, as you can see. As far as expenses, it's pretty much the same as the general fund for utility fund. They came in right on the money with their budget, or slightly under. Water sales for September was 894,000, which totaled for FY20 totaled 9.877 million. Sewer sales was at 5.669 million for FY20. Then we can take a look at utility capital reserves. It's slightly in the negative by 17,000. Take a look at the storm water utility fund on page 116, and it's slightly under as well at negative 57,000. And then you get a graph breakdown on 117, and let's take a quick look at the equipment replacement fund on page 118. And the equipment replacement fund has done pretty well for FY20. They've netted 277,000 for FY20. The other one I would like to take, like you all to take a look at, is the capital improvement fund. Even with us not making that transfer over into the capital improvement fund, it's still sitting pretty strong at 1.335 million in the capital improvement fund. So, and then the IT fund, it was in the red. Which was expected with COVID-19, increasing expenses for new hardware and software to conduct meetings and meet with people. But that pretty much sums up the details that I wanted to cover tonight on the financial reports. If you have any questions.
So let's talk about our IT and when we think we're going to be. We have all of our systems in place here at the council, and any kind of improvements we're doing that are COVID related. we're moving forward, we're gonna get better, set up here in the council chambers.
Yeah,
And then we're also gonna be doing the remodel, right, and that's gonna be IT.
yeah. So,
What about the library, it's done and complete?
I'm not sure if they're complete yet.
When we say library, we did recently run a,
Is there a fiber or something?
thank you, a fiber optic line over to the library, and yes, that was already completed. I guess what I'd say, and I think I know where you're leading this discussion, it's clear that right now our IT fund is carrying a negative, partially based on, really frankly, the last 3 or 4 years where we've run negatives in that. And so one of the very first items for Jay and I to work on in the next budget amendment that we'll see, what I'd like to do is an FY21 budget amendment to transfer some money from our various reserves, and we've got a handful of reserves, utility fund and general fund and that sort of thing. Since we did do fairly well in some of our funds this year, I think it's probably come time where we can get out of the red on our IT fund.
Yeah, exactly.
And instead of having a red in the IT fund, get that cleared up. So Jay and I talked a number of times about, well, how are we going to get back right with that? Part of it is actively managing it, and I'll congratulate Becca there since she's taken this over and really been able to sink her teeth into it. She saved us money on the telephone system and communication systems. She's working on printers now to save us money on printers. She's going to go attack some of our other spending items and see if she can save us some money there. So it's just an ongoing process. We've got a fund that we didn't actively manage very well for a number of years, and we're just getting it back under control. So you'll see a budget amendment on that topic this year.
Well, my hope is that as we move forward with the cost savings that Becca's been working on, that they're going to start showing up in real numbers here.
Yeah, because you could kind of see that towards the end of FY20, like some of the, the direction that IT was going, it was actually curtailing, it was slowing up, so she's doing a good job.
All right. Hey, Jay?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So IT is in the red for fiscal 20, which is closed. Is that correct? So we're not looking for the budget amendment for 20. You're looking for 21?
Yeah, during the efforts, so Jay and I talk a lot about, okay, what do we need to do, quarterly basis to look at amendments that we might make to our budget. One of the things I'd like to do in our budget is instead of having a red in IT, where essentially I'm loaning money to IT to keep money, keep it going, making a loan from one fund to another to keep IT afloat. We don't need to do that. We just need to look at our balances and say, you know what, for several years, we overspent in IT. It's time to clean it up and do a budget amendment, which we should do in FY21, to say, you know what, that balance that we're negative on IT, here's the money necessary in that fund to get that fund into the right. And remember, that's fairly typical. So in years past, we've said, you know what, here's a bad year for equipment replacement. So maybe FY18 was our last bad year of equipment replacement, where we said, you know what, we've spent too much on equipment replacement. We need to do a fund balance transfer from general fund / utility fund reserves into that fund. We don't like doing that, but when we find ourselves overspending somewhere, you gotta affirmatively make the budget amendment to transfer that money in there permanently. So since we are in the red in the IT fund, I just think it's proper due diligence for us to clean that up in our FY21 budget amendment. Meaning there should be a line item that says transfer from general fund, transfer maybe from utility fund to get us out of the red on IT. IT has been a big point of emphasis. I just think that in years past, we've maybe made the mistake of saying, oh, it's IT, we gotta have it, let's go, instead of saying, it's IT, is it a want or is it a need? Is it a have to? Can the spending get managed? Can we buy 9 instead of 12? And that's what we're doing now.
So do we typically do budget amendments right after the first quarter? I'm going to say, I don't remember budget amendments after the first quarter.
Last year, we did a January budget amendment, which was basically premised on the same idea. We had just learned a lot in the first quarter, and we said, you know what, here's an adjustment that we wanted to make. I think last year, we had some labor expenses we saw, maybe a couple other things we saw that says, you know what, we perfect in August, and let's just go ahead and make that change now, because we know where the rest of the year is going.
Anyone else? Jay, I do want to say, appreciate you hanging in there with us. I know from January, when you first did your first presentation, you're getting better and better.
Yeah.
You can always do better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're learning a little bit, and we appreciate it. We're going to work with you. We'll hang in there with you.
I appreciate it.
Right, and each one of us, it's hard to please 5 members, right? Because we're all looking for something unique in our financial reporting. Thank you for this year. I know it's been difficult with COVID-19 and all the other stresses that we've had throughout the city. So thank you, and we'll move forward with 21, hopefully much better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mayor, I'd just like to say to Jay the same thing, thank you. I hadn't had the chance to say that to you in person, but man, you've done a great job. You got two balancing acts, going on there. You handled it very well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll get there.
All those extra funds he talked about, Mayor, whoever thought Jay would turn out to be a Santa Claus?
Item number 10.1, discuss national incident-based reporting system. This was going to be Police Chief Ken McKinney, but I think he bailed on it.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, whenever we put staff reports on the agenda, we're just getting that paperwork out to you. Okay? And so you've got your crime stats in there overall. You can see in the report, it was a good year for crime. We got a little bit lower in a couple of categories, so that's good news. But I'm not going to I don't want to read the couple of pages of data to you. And then the next report under staff reports is, some of you had a chance to see this because you came up for our employee recognition luncheon. Some of you didn't. And it's just the listing of what employees have reached different levels of tenure. Steve Rogers is here, Carol Holland. I think they have, they're on the 70 years of tenure, I think. I think it's 70 years. It's 30 years of tenure. So both Steve and Carol have been with us for 30 years. And I just couldn't let it go by without you guys having a chance to flip through your packet and say, hey, here's who's been here 5 years, 10 years, so on down the line. And I'm not going to say all those names right now, but they're in your packet. Take a minute to go through those. And as you see those employees out and about in our city, just give them some appreciation because they're all working hard this year. I will say that whenever we take a look at year end, and I'm not going to get into this in any great detail, it's been a tough year for a lot of staff. You can see that in how much sick time people have had to use because there's been COVID-19 issues for some folks. And in some folks, you can see it because they didn't take any vacation in the last 12 months. And so, some people have had to work harder because other people weren't healthy. And you know what? God bless staff for being there and working hard. Like I said, I just wanted to see the tenure report because it means something. It means a lot when people are dedicating years and years of their career for us.
I think, Steve, you were here when I first ran for District 5, weren't you? And got elected. That's a long time back. What I do want to say is, again, reiterate what Mike has said, is that a lot of these individuals, they have choices. They can go to work for any municipal and do a good job for them, and they choose to be here in Terrell. And we, as the mayor and the council, should take every opportunity to say thank you to all of those that are here at City Hall, out on the streets doing street maintenance, police, fire, whatever it may be. They are what makes Terrell who we are. And they're our spokesperson when they're out and about within the city. And they've done an excellent job. It's been an honor for me as mayor to be a part of that. And 2020 was a rough year for all of us. I hope that everybody has a safe and Merry Christmas and a happy holiday, and look forward to hopefully a much better 21 as it relates to the pandemic and getting past that. Does anybody have any questions before we move into executive session or comments?
Mayor, just would like to reiterate, everything you said, and thank staff, all staff from our direct, from my directors to all staff for their commitment to our community.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Is there anything else before we move into executive session? Hearing none, we will move into executive session in accordance to with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. Section 551.074, personnel matters. Section 551.0...
Updated. We probably, well, our logo is down here.
So Mike, can we go home?
No, I didn't say that.
No, it's weekday marketing.
All right, it looks good. We are going to reconvene into regular session and consider action, if any, on items discussed in executive session. There are none. I want to wish the council a Merry Christmas and hope you have a safe holiday.